It was there hidden in a cardboard box in my grandmother's attic between stacks of yellowed letters and moth-eaten quilts. A chill seemed to pass over me as my fingers brushed against its splintered edges. Something was not right about it. The photograph was old black and white, frayed at the edges. There was a family lined up stiffly in front of their home. A mother, a father, two tiny girls in fluffy dresses, and a baby holding onto the arms of the mother. They all smiled, but their eyes were empty like dolls' eyes. And there was him. In the back, leaning on the top row of chairs, was a gaunt, tall man. He did not smile. His face was blurred as if he had moved in front of the camera before it snapped, except that the rest of the photograph didn't move. His hands reached too far down, his stance unnatural, as if his bones wouldn't bend the right way. I turned the photograph over. In trembling script were the words, "The day he came home with us." God help us. I swallowed hard. I knew the house in the photograph. It was my house. That evening I dreamed about the tall man. I was in the same place that family was in the photo, the creaking porch beneath my feet. The scent of moist earth and rot filled the air. And I saw him, just at first a blur, standing at the fringes of the trees. He came closer, his arms too long, his face still a blurry smear. "You brought me back," he panted, though his mouth did not move. I woke up screaming. The following day, I went to my mother with the photograph. Color drained from her face. "Where did you obtain this?" she demanded, making my mother shake. "Grandma's attic," I said. "Who are these people?" she asked. She didn't answer at first. Then, hardly over a whisper, "Your great-grandparents and their children." I indicated the blurry man. "Who is that?" She trembled as she put out her hands over the picture. "No one. That's only a shadow." But we both knew that it wasn't true. That night I could hear scratching on my bedroom window. Slow scraping, like fingernails on the glass. I cowered back, my heart hammering wildly. The scratching ceased. Then, tap, tap, tap. 3 knocks. I didn't stir. Couldn't breathe. And then a voice, very thin, underwater sounding. "You looked at me. Now I can look back at you." I turned around. The photograph was on my desk. The man's face was indistinct before. Now it was clear. His mouth had been open in a scream. Not a scream, a grin. The next day my brother Jake asked me why I was nervous. I had not said anything about the photo, but as I passed by his room late at night, I heard him muttering. "Whom are you talking to?" I opened the door. He sat on the floor, looking at the corner. "The tall man," he repeated in stiffness. "He says he's family." My blood ran cold. There was nothing in the corner, but there is the scent of wet earth. I torched the picture. I recall that I see the flames devour it, turning the faces into dust. This was the first time that I ever heard scream, which was not from the picture, but within the house. That night again, there was knocking at the door. Louder, angrier. "You can't escape me," the voice taunted. "I'm in all the photographs now." I laid out for my phone and scrolled through our family photos. And there he was, in the backgrounds of Christmas photos. In birthday party shots, his face blurry clearer each time. The final photo was yesterday. He wasn't in the background anymore. Behind me, his long fingers around my shoulder, his mouth spreading wide into a grin. And this time he was not blurry. I no longer take photographs. Sometimes, though, when I am home alone, I hear scratching, knocking, whispering, and I know he is still waiting to be included in one final family photo with me. I shouldn't have opened it. The old leather-bound picture book lay in my grandmother's attic, hidden under a sheet of dust and stacked to the ceiling with yellowed newspapers. I had been dusting up there, going through decades of forgotten history when my fingers brushed against its shattered spine. Something about it felt off. The air seemed colder, shadows lengthening as I coaxed it out. The first few pages were typical black and white photos of relatives I barely recognized posed seriously in their Sunday best. But then I turned the page and my breath was snagged in my throat. There they were, my family, but not as I remembered them. It was a recent photo, too recent. My parents were in it, my little sister and me. We all stood in front of our house, but only we weren't smiling. Our mouths hung open, our eyes were wide and staring, and we were covered in blood. I jumped back, near dropping the album. My heart pounded in my ears as I forced myself to look again. The photo hadn't altered. There we stood stiffly, our clothes soaked in red, our skin with it rubbed in. My father's mouth was slightly agape, his teeth speckled with something wet and black. My sister's tiny hand around mine, her fingers curled into claws. And standing behind us, just beyond the edge of vision, in the doorway, something else. A hunched-up tall creature, its face a smear of pulled-back flesh and too many teeth. I slammed the album shut, shaking. This was some kind of cruel joke. Some sort of prank. But who would prank us this way? And how did they get a photo of us like this? I had to know. I carried the album down into the house, my skin crawling with every step. The house was too quiet. My parents were not home, my sister at a friend's. I should have waited. I should have called someone. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table and opened the album again. The second photograph was worse. It was my sister's birthday party last year. The cake, the balloons, the streamers there. But in the picture, the cake was torn apart, the frosting smeared like blood on the table. My sister was in the center, her party dress torn, her face twisted in a pained smile. And she was surrounded by things that were close to human. Their arms reached too far, their mouths too wide open. My gut churned. I turned faster, frightened and panicked. Page after page, the photographs grew more horrific. A Christmas morning with gifts covered in what looked like skin. A picnic blanket with something moving beneath it. And finally, the last photograph. I was in it. I was asleep in bed. The photo had been taken from above, as if someone had been standing over me. My face was calm, oblivious. But beneath my bed, barely visible in the darkness, a hand reaching out. A hand that wasn't mine. I threw the album across the room, gasping for air. This did not compute. These were not real. They couldn't be. And then I heard something. A whisper. From upstairs. You found us. My blood turned to ice. The voice was off, guttural, wet like something trying to mimic man's speech. I stiffened my ears, listening. Nothing. Then, a creak. The door to the attic was opening. I ran. I did not grab my keys, did not think. I merely ran out of the front door and down into the street. I did not look back until I was at the next door neighbor's house, pounding on their door until they opened it, startled and scared. I never went back. The police found the album. They said that it was empty, but I know what I saw. And sometimes late at night I hear that whisper again. You found us, and I know they're there waiting. I never thought ghosts. Not until the photo. Steamy summer afternoons when my parents cleaned the attic. Dust drifting through the air like a rolling mist as we searched through old trunks, our feet kicking wood floorboards across the floor. My father teased us about finding treasure, but we found only moth-eaten sweaters and yellowed newspaper clippings. Then I saw it. Under the shattered lamp, a minute, lovely box black lacquer to silver hinges. In its interior, in rumpled yellow paper, was one photograph. The moment my fingers came into contact with it, an itch coursed through me. The photo was sepia, faded, bruised on the edges. A family posing rough in front of a house my house. A woman, a man, and 2 kids, 1 boy and 1 girl. The faces smudged, not washed like someone had tried to rub them out. But the eyes, their eyes glinted, black, straight into the camera, at me. I held it out to him. Stammering letters scrawled on it, "Forgive us. We didn't mean to." My mom sat on me, pulling the picture from my grasp. "Where did you find this?" Her voice trembled cold. "In the box," I told her. She and my dad sat for a second, then she turned away from me and stuffed his picture in her pocket hastily. "It's nothing. Some old trash." But that was something. I was lying in bed, the house quiet except for the creaking wood. And then low at first, the muttering. A man's voice shaking and low. A woman crying. A child's laughter high and sickening. I leapt out of bed, my heart racing. The sounds were in the walls. "You shouldn't have taken it," the man whispered. "We didn't mean to," the woman cried. And the laughter again. "Close." I shoved the blankets off over my head, screwed up eyes. And when at last I finally plucked up courage enough to peer through a crack, no one was there but my bedroom door, which was always closed open. The next day, I blamed my parents. Who were the people in the picture? I shouted. My father's face went white. "What picture?" They exchanged another look. Then my mother sighed, rubbing her temples. "Fine, but you're not going to like it." She pulled the photograph from her nightstand. "This house, it wasn't always ours. A family lived here before. The Wilkersons. My dad cut me off his tone, icy. They vanished. The 4 of them. Vanished and gone without so much as a single hair behind. The police searched for months, but nothing. The house sat empty all those years until we purchased it. And the photo?" I croaked. My mother hesitated. "It had been discovered in the attic. Same as you. The previous owners complained. Things went wrong where it was touched." I did not laugh, to consider it outright superstition. But the gossip yesterday night was still ringing in my head. Evening, I searched for news on the Wilkersons. Libraries near me that were located where I had been raised microfilmed early-run newspapers. I worked through them for hours before I finally found it, a brief little piece in 1972. Family of 4 gone missing. Home left in disorder. That was it. No break and enter. No indication of anything nefarious. Just gone. But one line leapt off the page. Neighbors heard people laughing in the home the night they disappeared. I didn't sleep much that night. Each groan of the house had me sitting up, jumping. And then at 3 a.m., I heard it again. Giggling. It was this time in my room. I wheezed, struggling. The sound was over in the corner beside my closet. I turned my head slowly. The closet door was open, and in it, barely visible at all in the darkness, was a small figure. A child. The girl in the photograph. Her face still indistinct, but I could feel her smile, too wide, too many teeth. "You took our picture," she said. "Now we're taking yours." I screamed. My parents came rushing in, turning on the light. The closet was bare, but the picture was still on my nightstand, facing me. And now the family was not in front of the house. They were inside, standing in my bedroom. The following day, I incinerated the picture. Saw the fingers of flame crawling over those hideous faces, their eyes still glaring. But it didn't matter, because the previous night the whispers came again, and this time they weren't alone. I saw them all, at the foot of my bed. The man leaned forward and took my hand, his fingers tracing down my ankle, numb and stiff. "You shouldn't have taken it," he said. And then the little girl laughed. "Now you're in the picture." I struggled, but the room receded, walls sliding back, the door receding. The last thing I knew was my parents entering, their faces contorted in horror at what they were witnessing of me. At the vacant bed, in the photograph now on the pillow, where I had lain smiling with them forever.